The soldier who purchased the Germans on his own, Daniel Inouye. Daniel Ken Inouye, then 17 years old, was there from the beginning when the United States entered World War II. As a Honolulu native, he heard the panicked radio reports of the Japanese attack on nearby Pearl Harbor while he was getting ready for church. Without hesitation, he hurried to a Red Cross assistance station and started working 5 days a week, assisting in every way he could. He gave those hurt and injured food, clothing, and consolation, in addition to cleaning and bandaging wounds. He had volunteered for the Red Cross during his high school years and had aspirations of becoming a surgeon. Despite this, Inouye's history led to his rejection when he tried to join the military after graduating from high school in 1942. Japanese Americans were viewed as a security threat at this time, and more than 120,000 of them were interned in camps during the war. Because there were so many Japanese people in Hawaii, it would have been impossible to carry out such an action. Therefore, Inouye and his family were spared this tragedy. He chose to enroll at the University of Hawaii as a pre-medical student rather than enlist. Japanese Americans were permitted to serve in segregated groups after the U.S. government changed its policy in 1943 that prohibited them from joining. Inouye seized the chance and quickly joined the 442nd Regimental Combat Team. Inouye and the rest of the 442nd were sent to Italy after a year of training. On June 26, 1944, they fought their first battle, the Battle of Badier, where they excelled under fire, and Inouye was elevated to sergeant. They were moved to France that September, where the 442nd was dispatched to save a Texas National Guard battalion that had become trapped behind enemy lines. During the rescue, the 442nd suffered terrible fatalities. By the end of the mission, some companies could only field a dozen men. Out of the 150 men that Inouye's company began with, 42 were deemed fit for duty, making it rather prosperous. When Inouye fought valiantly, he would be shot in the chest, but the fortunate silver dollars he had always carried in his breast pocket would impede the bullet's progress. Additionally, he would demonstrate such leadership abilities that he was commissioned as a second lieutenant, Daniel K. Inouye, on the battlefield. He would receive a Bronze Star as well. The 442nd would be sent to Italy once more in early 1945 to launch an offensive against the Gothic Line, a line of Axis fortifications in northern Italy. Inouye and his unit were ordered to attack German positions close to the hamlet of Sorenzo on April 21, 1945. The Germans started a fire with 3 entrenched MG-42s and various small arms as Inouye and his men moved forward. Despite the barrage of lead aimed at them, the troops were able to seize an artillery post and mortar that were now only 40 yards away. The German fire grew more intense. Undeterred, Inouye led the charge as he and the other guys continued their attack. Despite being shot in the torso, Inouye ignored the pain and proceeded to demolish the first machine gun nest with grenades after getting within 5 yards of it. Then, using more grenades and bursts from his Thompson submachine gun, he moved forward on the second machine gun nest and destroyed it as well. Then, approaching the last machine gun nest, he grabbed another grenade and pulled the pin while he was only 10 yards from the position. A German soldier brandishing a rifle-mounted grenade aimed and shot just as he was ready to throw. Inouye's arm, which was now just partially attached, was nearly severed when the missile struck him at the elbow and burst. Additionally, the grenade was ready to be thrown by the same arm. And even as I cocked my arm to throw, he fired, and his rifle grenade smashed into my right elbow and exploded, Inouye said, describing the incident. My grenade was still clenched in a fist that abruptly didn't belong to me when I looked at my dangling arm. His troops rushed to their leader after he was struck to offer what assistance they could, but Inouye ordered them away before the grenade dropped out of concern for their safety. He then tried to pull the grenade from his fingers, treating his nearly blown-off arm as a minor annoyance rather than a serious injury. Inouye, then he grabbed the bomb in his left hand and threw it at the last German position. Then he started firing before the German could reload, swinging his Thompson as best he could. He pressed the assault on the German line and kept firing, moving forward practically by himself. Only after a bullet hit his leg and knocked him off his feet did he halt his advance. He struck the ground and lost consciousness as a result of shock and blood loss from his numerous wounds. A few minutes later, he woke up with his worried men around him. When he first saw them, he said, "Nobody called off the war," and ordered them to return to the battle. As best he could, he kept leading his men. He and his men destroyed multiple fixed imp positions and killed 25 Germans by the end of the battle, while also capturing 8 more. Then, in case the Germans launched a counterattack, he arranged his men in a defensive position. At last, when things were as safe as they could be, he consented to be taken away for medical treatment. He would undergo several surgeries, including the amputation of his right arm, after arriving at a field hospital approximately 9 hours after his initial injuries. This procedure was performed without the use of an anesthetic because he had already received multiple doses of morphine, and it was believed that any additional ones would cause his blood pressure to fall to fatal levels. Doctors questioned if he would live, and he would require 17 blood transfusions. However, he would, and Daniel Inouye received the Distinguished Service Cross and was elevated to captain. After rehabilitating in Army hospitals for the following 2 years, he was honorably released from the military in 1947. In a way, he changed his academic aspirations after his lifelong dream of becoming a surgeon was permanently crushed. He would earn a law degree from the George Washington Law School and a government and economics degree from the University of Hawaii through the GY Bill. He also entered politics, winning a seat in the Hawaii Territorial House of Representatives and serving as Honolulu's deputy public prosecutor. Later on, he would be elected as a territorial senator. He was elected to the House of Representatives in 1962, following Hawaii's admission as a state in 1959. After that, he would be chosen to serve as one of the 2 senators for the state, a role he would maintain until his passing in 2012. During his illustrious career, Inouye led the Senate committee that looked into the Iran-Contra scandal and was a member of the Watergate Committee. By the end of his career, he was the 2nd longest-serving senator in American history and would go on to become the Senate's president pro tempore from 2010 to 2012. Following a military review, Daniel Inouye received the Congressional Medal of Honor from President Bill Clinton in 2000, replacing his Distinguished Service Cross. Daniel K. Inouye would receive the European African Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star, the Congressional Medal of Honor, and many other honors from other countries. At the age of 88, he died in 2012. For his lengthy career and lifetime of service to the country, he would receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor bestowed upon a civilian, posthumously. As the namesake of Honolulu's main airport, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, and numerous other military and civilian structures and facilities honoring one of the most extraordinary figures in American military and political history, a man whose exploits surpass those of any movie hero, Inouye's legacy also endures,